I'm Kevin Sampson, and you're listening to Bryan Mirando's Free For All podcast.
Welcome to the twisted fucking world of Bryan Mirando.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Bryan Mirando. This is the Season 2 premiere of the Free For All podcast, and today my very special guest is playing bands such as the Innocent Bystanders, Jealous Unknowns, First Ward, Kevin Sampson. Kevin, how you doing today?
Good, buddy. Thanks for having me on the show.
And today we're in Kevin Sampson's rehearsal studio. Great place you got here, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's kind of dingy and full of empty beer cans and stuff, and lots of music equipment.
And this is where you do a lot of the music videos, right?
Yeah, I've done a few music videos in here. We did one for a single we put out last year called The Hard Way, and it's a great place. We painted all the walls black and set up lights and shot it all ourselves and edited everything. It came out really well, so I was really happy with it.
I noticed a lot of the photos you take are also on the roof of this building, too.
Yeah. There's a pretty epic roof outside. We would be recording out there having fun, but they're doing construction outside, so.
Yeah, so if you hear any pounding, that's what that is, in case people are wondering. Doing an interview, what's that banging in the background?
Yeah, what's that buzzsaw?
Anyway, as I mentioned before, you played in bands such as the Innocent Bystanders, Jealous Unknowns, and now First Ward. Can you please talk about how this all got started for you?
Well, I started playing music in Buffalo probably in 2004, 2005, maybe a little bit before that. I started playing bass in middle school in bands and ska bands and stuff. And then high school, me and some of my best buds would get together after school, and we would practice. And we started playing shows at coffee houses and played a lot at the Showplace Theater over on Grant Street, which is open maybe now. But
yeah, it is. I just recently saw Crooked Generation not too long ago at the Bird Fest, so yeah. And Greg Burke's actually trying to purchase that right now, so hopefully he can reopen it. There used to be a lot of good bands that used to play there.
Oh, yeah, a lot of the touring bands would come through, and then they would do a lot of local showcases. And it was a big room, big stage, so that was the first time you could really get up there and feel like you were doing the thing. And played a lot there in that scene. And then when I was in college, the band that I played in high school, everybody kind of went away to school, and I stayed here. And I got a iBook with GarageBand on it. So I started writing all these songs. And just when my drummer was in town, we would record drums in his basement, and it sounded like crap. But we did a whole CD, maybe like a demo CD, maybe 12 songs. And somehow, some way, shape, or form, it wound up on the desk of this guy named Lenny Silver, who just passed away this past year.
Yeah, he did just pass away. He used to own the chain of record stores here in Buffalo as well.
Yeah, he ran Record Theater, and he did a lot of he recorded a lot of acts in the 80s and 90s and stuff, and he had a lot of gold records and stuff. So he got our CD, and he really liked one song called Under Wraps. So he brought us in. And that was the first time you walk into a record executive's office with gold records on the wall, and they tell you, we're going to put you in the studio, and you're going to do a song, and maybe we'll do more. And we went and we did the song, and it turned out really good, so they signed us to a contract for a couple of albums. And I spent the whole summer of 2007 in the studio called Audio Magic over on the in Black Rock. And we made a full record, and before we were even done with the record, the song was on the radio, and it was being played a lot here. So there was a lot of anticipation when the record came out. We had a lot of cool people come and record on the record. Mary Ramsey from 10,000 Maniacs came and played. And then, just through that, the Innocent Bystanders was the name of that band. And we played for a long time. We did a lot of touring, especially in the college circuit and stuff like that, playing a lot of college radio stations and in the Rathskellers in the basement of the student unions and stuff, and that was a lot of fun. And I was 19 maybe at the time when I signed that record contract, so it was a lot of learning that had to be done, but that's pretty much how I broke into the scene. But that was 10 years ago now in November that album came out.
Now you talk about the scene. Can you tell us what the difference is between the scene when you started off to the scene that is now? Because it's a lot different now than it was, 10, 15 years ago.
It's very different. I think the internet has a lot to do with that. Say when I was going to shows, when I first started going and enjoying music, live music, seeing friends' bands and stuff, is very word of mouth. I guess you would book a show at like the Show Place or the Fun House or Backstage Pub, and kids would show up. That was what we did every weekend. Is like, oh, Mike's band's playing at Show Place, let's all go, and we go and we get the X's on our hands and stuff. And then MySpace kind of took over, and you started to see more and more bands. Like for instance, a band from Buffalo called Cute Is What We Aim For. They got popular on the internet, and then they got signed that way. And they would tour, and it kind of shifted. And for a while during that time, it was also a very weird time in the record industry in general. Nobody really knew how to carve out a spot because people stopped buying records and started downloading, and people were just starting to use iTunes and stuff like that to download their music and find new music. And the record industry really didn't know what to do. So it kind of got competitive for a while, especially the scene in Buffalo. It seemed like it was very competitive for a while. And since then, the industry's kind of figured out it's more of a singles market now, and more video work, and playing shows is important, especially if you want to make money, because people don't really buy your songs anymore. But the whole marketing thing and how you network with your band has totally changed. It's a lot harder for bands to get noticed, and record labels I don't think really sign as many bands anymore, because it's mostly super producers who write a lot of songs and find like a celebrity or a pop singer who will sing it for them.
Exactly. That's what I think the problem is with music today. People don't really sit down and write their own music. They have people write it for them.
There's definitely a lot of good songwriters and a lot of good rock bands and a lot of good music out there. It's just harder to find, and you won't see it on the top 40.
And that's what you guys are going to hear later on in the series, too. Later on in the season 2, more or less than season 1, is I'm going to start playing a lot more great bands that aren't on the top 40 or don't get that much radio play. So look out for that. And that's another reason why I decided to do this podcast as well, to give those bands exposure, because the music industry right now is just, top 40, and everybody else is just put onto the wayside. You know what I mean? Now, what are your thoughts on not the industry, but the scene in Buffalo in general?
But the scene here in Buffalo is actually really great right now. I feel like more people are inclined to collaborate, and I'm older too, so I'm not playing with the young kid bands. I play more now with people that have been in the scene for a long time, have been in multiple bands, have gone through it. And when you get to be my age, I'm about to turn 30 in September. By that time, the people who played music as a kid, the ones who aren't serious about it, kind of weeded themselves out. To a certain age, you either start a family or you get a good job, and people always say, I don't have any time to play music anymore. But the ones who make the time and it's important to them still do it. And those are the guys and girls that I play with mostly now. And everybody's super collaborative, and the scene's really good. There's some really great bands in town. It's just kind of hard to get noticed here. Yeah, I mean, that's the attitude some people take towards it. These days, especially with my experience and how I've played music around here and done it for a long time, it'd be great to have another record contract and be on the radio and stuff, but that's really not my motivation anymore. I really, really enjoy it. I went to see a friend play last night, Grace Stumberg, and she's fantastic, incredible singer. And she said on stage, she said, I do this because it feeds my soul, and if I didn't do it, I would lose my mind. And that's kind of how I feel. I just want to make the best records and best songs you can and spend my free time. It's not just a hobby, it's a passion. So, I work hard during the day at my various jobs to be able to do this and to afford new equipment and do cool stuff. And in the last 6 months or so, I've really taken a concerted effort to focus my energy back into music and spend all my time when I'm not working to either be enjoying music, supporting my friends, or creating music myself.
You talk about working with the Innocent Bystanders. Now, you're in another band after that that's still around right now, the Jealous Unknowns. Can you talk about that and how that started off?
Yeah. After Innocent Bystanders broke up, I kind of didn't do any music. I was trying to write, but it was difficult, and I kind of was in isolation mode for a while. And I had written a few songs and did some demos on my own. And a guy I worked with named Todd Townsend, who plays bass in the Jealous Unknowns, listened to my stuff, and he really enjoyed it. He's like, dude, we got to start a band. And we kind of just started talking with guys that we were working with, including Greg Alsheimer, who's my lead guitar player. And at the time, my drummer from The Innocent Bystanders, Scott Bernard, who's a great drummer, was playing. And we kind of started doing that. And we had brought a bunch of songs in. And then we went through a bunch of lineup changes. People were in and out. Greg was out for a while, and then Scott left. And then we brought in Mark Taverne, who's the current drummer, who does a lot of production for the stuff we're working on now. And he's kind of like my co-producer on everything. And then Greg just came back in the band. So it's a 4-piece rock band, pretty punky, and we've been working on a few albums right now. We have one that we just did at GCR Audio that we're probably going to release by the fall, and we'll probably follow right back up with another one that we're self-producing right now, which has been a really interesting experience, tracking drums and everything ourselves.
Now you talk about working at GCR Studios. A lot of people don't know that Robbie from the Goo Dolls owns that building. Can you talk about your personal relationship with Robbie?
I've met Robbie and hung out with Robbie on numerous occasions. He's such an awesome dude. He's out of town a lot, but I used to live right across the street from the studio, so I'd see him often, and anytime I was working there, we played Music is Art a few times. He's a really great guy. He's very supportive of the local scene. He tries to get musical instruments into the hands of kids that can't afford them, and just the Music is Art Festival. And GCR for Buffalo has been a really great thing. There's a lot of really good studios around town, but that studio specifically has such great amenities. You can't find that stuff outside of New York or Nashville or Los Angeles very often. So, and all the guys that work there, Justin Rose is the head engineer there, but I mostly work with Jay Zubricki, who's produced all my music, or engineered all my music, and he works with a ton of bands, and he's really doing very well for himself there.
Now you talk about Music is Art. A personal friend of mine, Alex Braun from the band Dream Spectrum, played there a bunch of times. Now, could you talk about that? Could you talk about Music is Art and your experiences you've had at the festival? Because I know you played there several times.
I think it's a great festival. It's been going on for a long time. I remember when they started down on Franklin Street during the Allentown Art Festival.
So you were there for like the first running of Music is Art.
Yeah, I didn't play at that point, but I was there as a fan. And it's really, really expanded and turned into something different. There was a year there where they had to go out to the Erie County Fair, and it just seemed like the absolute wrong place for it because it's a city thing. And then they moved it down to Albright Knox Art Gallery, and that was so cool because the stages were set up around the steps, and everybody could walk there, and there's multiple stages, and it's art and music and performance and magic and all this stuff put together. I just feel bad because almost every single year it rains. And it's right around my birthday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Same time. It rains every year. Yeah. I remember Denny Lane from the band Wings with Paul McCartney played there last year. You couldn't even play because of the rain.
Yeah. The Jealous Unknowns played a few years ago, and it rained all day. It was freezing. And I ran into Robbie. He's like, well, this is my luck, kind of like that. And it was funny because they had three main stages, the main stage and two smaller ones right on the other side. And Randall and the Late Night Scandals played on one of the small stages up front. And as they started playing, the rain stopped. And they kind of drew everybody out. And then immediately after them was the magic show. A big magic show. So everybody's out. Everybody that had been under tents all day, like waiting for it to stop raining, all kind of came out. And then we played immediately after that and had a great crowd for that show. And it was so much fun. We actually have lucked out and gotten really good slots every time we played that. I played with the Innocent Bystanders twice, and I think I played with the Jealous Unknowns once.
Did you ever headline that festival?
No. It's more of a collaborative thing. Like they just started bringing in more, acts. I think the Goo Goo Dolls.
Played there 2 years ago.
Yeah, they closed at one time. I'm not sure if the guys from Cute did too. And then you said Denny Lane.
Now, Kevin, My fans have been asking me this question, and you're finally going to be a part of it. Everybody's been asking me, when are you going to have a live performance on the show? Well, right now we're going to have a live performance on the show because today's feature artist of the day for the second time is Kevin Sampson. Kevin, what song are you going to be playing today for us?
I'm going to play a song off of my solo EP I'm working on right now, and it's called One More Drink Before the War.
So here's One More Drink for the War by Kevin Sampson live on the Bryan Mirando's Free For All podcast. Take it away, Kevin.
Here no more.
Thank you, Kevin Sampson, for One More Drink Before the War. I'm Bryan Mirando. This is the Free For All podcast with my special guest today, Kevin Sampson. Now, can you talk about writing that song?
Ooh, well, this whole record that I'm working on right now is kind of it's like a heartbreak record, essentially. It's got more of a country style to it. It just came out of some situations and stuff, and sometimes music can kind of be therapy, so you just write a song about it and then you move on. So it's kind of about that, and I needed something more upbeat, because a lot of the songs on the record are going to be kind of introspective and kind of heavy. And this one's a little bit more fun. It's kind of a screw you song. And I always kind of throw one of those songs in on most of my records, so it came out in no time. Usually those are the ones that are pretty good. You know what? There is a story behind that song. I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, which is like going on right now. Game of Thrones is pretty sweet.
I never really got into Game of Thrones. I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes. I really didn't get into it.
I get it. I read all the books. I'm kind of a Game of Thrones nerd. So I was rewatching an episode of Game of Thrones, and there's two awesome characters who I think this is the only time they ever really cross paths, and it's probably the best, arguably one of the best episodes of the entire series. And the character Bronn and a character the Hound are in the same like bar / brothel kind of thing right before an enemy army is going to attack the city, and everybody's getting ready for war. They're all in their stuff, and they're just drinking, getting ready to die, essentially. And they get in an altercation, and it looks like they're going to fight each other, and then the bell goes off that says the war is starting. And Bronn just looks at the Hound and says, "One more drink before the war?" And I was like, that's an awesome line. So I sat down, and the rest of the song just kind of came out. It was about something completely different, but it was such a good line. And that's how sometimes it happens. You get a quick little piece of inspiration, especially like a cliche thing to say or like a cool one-liner, and then you can write a whole song around that.
And thanks again for being the performance today. You know, a lot of people ask me why I don't have video cameras and why I do a video podcast. And the reason for that is because a lot of people that I have on the show are very conscious alone being on recording. And sometimes I got to talk them through it, say this is what's going to happen, everything. So add that with a camera, I just didn't think it was a good idea. So that's why this is just a recorded show. But thank you again for doing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Now you're in another band right now, First Ward. And in fact, the night you found out you were in the band, they were opening for the Trues. Now you didn't play at the show, but could you talk about joining the First Ward and what's going on with the guys right now?
Yeah, I had to work that night. I had been going out to see them at most of their shows. A couple of the guys in the band I had known for a long time, playing in other bands and stuff, and I always respected all the guys. And Dave, the guitar player, Dave Harris, who's incredible, by the way, he and I had struck up a friendship through Tudor Lounge open mic, going and playing. We would jam together, and I loved his style. So we would hang out, we would go out and stuff like that. And I had known Josh and Zach from previous bands, and their bands are always awesome. So I actually caught up with them after they played with the Trues, and that's when Josh asked me, kind of broached the subject, and said, would you want to play keys and some guitar and sing some harmonies? I said, absolutely.
Are you working on a record right now with the First Ward?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a bunch of songs recorded. Josh and Zach and Dave and Pete kind of already worked out a 10-song record. And they went into Raven Studios, which is on... yeah, went into Raven Studios, which is a great studio that I had been in before. And they cut 10 songs, and they're just in the process of figuring out which ones they're going to release and when. And the record sounds incredible. I was able to play keys on a few tracks, and I'm really excited about it. They're just taking their time with it and doing it right, so when it comes out, it's going to be fantastic.
Not only do you do music, you also do acting. You starred in a film called Free Fallers, which I have right here. Could you talk about the experience making this film and how it came to be?
I play one of the crew members. It's a film my good friend Rick Mossy made. It's a film about making a film, and I play the camera guy, essentially. And it's really interesting. Rick is a really great guy. He's a fantastic filmmaker, and he does all this himself. He decided a few years back that he was going to just do it because it made him happy, and he pays for everything himself, and enlists the help of really great, talented people from Buffalo, whether to do all the music for the films, which is how our relationship in this started. He asked me if I would do some music or let him use some of my songs for his first film called On the Level, and then so I did that. And then I made a small cameo in that movie. And then this movie is a comedy about making that movie. It's very good. I actually just watched it again the other night, and it's funny. And the performances from everybody in town are really great. And I think a few of my songs are in this. There's definitely one at the end, which is pretty funny. So, but yeah, it's a really great thing to be involved in. I've always loved acting. I started doing it when I was a kid. Did a lot of stage stuff, and then in college I kind of decided to go more with the music as opposed to acting.
Now, a tradition on the show is my guest answers some questions. I put them in the hot seat. Do you mind doing a little Q&A and getting in the hot seat?
Yeah, sure.
All right, I got a list of questions here from some fans. First question is from Shannon. Your favorite place to play a show?
Easy. Mohawk Place.
For all those that don't know, Mohawk Place is sort of like our CBGBs. Green Day's played there. The White Stripes have played there. Dropkick Murphys has played there many times. Can you talk about playing there and what it's like to be on that stage and perform there?
Yeah, no, it's like the coolest place to go because it's just like a little hole in the wall, and there's always great music. The sound is good. It's been there forever. I remember going to like some of my first shows and, getting a can of PBR and watching a band, you know what I mean? And it's a really cool room. If you fill it, it's fantastic. I've seen some really good touring bands there, but I just really like playing there. Everybody's really awesome there, and you always get it's just great. It's the Mohawk Place. It's great for pictures. You get a picture of you playing at the Mohawk Place, you can put that as your profile picture, no problem. You're instantly cool.
Next question. Your favorite album of all time?
Well, we talked about Excitable Boy. That's a really good one. Yeah. I'm gonna give you a couple, but I'm gonna probably tell you the best album, my favorite album. But I've always liked Heart of Saturday Night by Tom Waits is a great album. It's the 90s stuff. Weezer's Blue album is incredible. Dookie is awesome. Nevermind by Nirvana. But I think my favorite album that I will put on vinyl and listen to is The Pretender by Jackson Browne.
This one comes from Junior. Your favorite film of all time?
First off, what's up, Junior? There we go. But okay, favorite film. Sticking with the music thing. I like The Last Waltz is incredible, but my favorite movie, it's a Tom Hanks movie that he wrote and directed called That Thing You Do. It's about a band in the 60s that has one hit, and the music's hilarious. The music's awesome. The movie is hilarious. Steve Zahn is incredible, and we used to watch it, my family, like my brother, my sister, and my dad used to watch it on Saturday mornings, and it's super quotable, so it's another one of those things. If people know That Thing You Do and you make a reference, it's like, oh, you're cool.
Question comes from Bree. Your biggest accomplishment?
Oh, biggest accomplishment. Graduating college with no student loans. I think that's my greatest accomplishment. That's pretty incredible. But no. But I don't know. Hearing my song on the radio for the first time was a cool moment. That was and like real radio, not college radio or anything like that, but a real radio station. They told us they were going to play it. We listened to the radio all day. I think we went golfing and brought a radio with us, and they didn't play it. It was the same day that Rihanna's Umbrella came out. That's how old this is. And we just heard Umbrella 45 times in a day, and we kind of gave up on it. And I was in college at the time. Me and my friend were hungry, so we went to Denny's on Delaware Road. Is it Delaware? Yeah, it's Delaware. And it was like 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock or whatever, and so I get a phone call. I'm sitting there eating pancakes. And the guy that produced the record is like, they're playing it right now. So I run out to the parking lot. It's completely empty except for my 1994 Oldsmobile Cutlass. And just turned it on, heard like the last 45 seconds of the song, and alone in a parking lot at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was the coolest feeling.
Now, thank you for that. Now, what do you have in the works now? What's in your future? What do you got working on now? Future projects? New ward stuff?
Well, first word, we have a show. I don't know. This will probably air. So it'll be tonight at Ironworks with Son of the Sun and the Soft Love, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. And then we have a couple more shows this month, and I play around town doing acoustic stuff, so you'll probably see me, especially if you're in the city, playing in August. But as far as music projects, First Word is finishing their first EP, fully produced EP that we're gonna release. Currently, we just finished up an EP with the Jealous Unknowns that we had worked on previously, but we went in and did some touch-ups, and we should be releasing more songs off of that going forward, while we record another 8 songs maybe ourselves. It's the first time we're gonna do a fully produced album ourselves and record all the drums and everything ourselves.
Now, before you go, I want to talk about one more thing. I want to talk about your cover of Tom Petty's American Girl now, which is my theme song for the show this season. When I was talking to you last season about doing an entrance music for the show this season, I remember you gave me your entire catalog generously and told me to pick whatever song I wanted I could use, and I remember that song stuck out to me. I decided to use it. Can you talk about recording that song?
Yeah, that's a really, really old recording. I did that with my drummer from the Innocent Bystanders, Scott Bernard. It was a cover we always did in the set, kind of one of the last songs we would play, and people always were drawn to our cover of it. It really, honestly, it's funny because I'm wearing a Goo Goo Dolls t-shirt right now. We talked about Robbie earlier, but the Goo Goo Dolls used to do a cover of American Girl, and I always liked how they did it when I was in high school. So I kind of took that and made it our own, a little bit more rockier and stuff. But yeah, that was a long time ago. That was a lot of fun. That's all DIY recording right there. Just setting up microphones, recording in a small mixer, and it was pretty much a demo, but it actually turned out pretty good, and people on the SoundCloud usually seem to like it. My SoundCloud, by the way, is mostly just demos and ideas. I don't usually release any of the music I do with my bands on there. There's usually on a different SoundCloud. But I'll put stuff up there because some of my friends that live out of town or whatever listen on that, and just ideas. So a lot of it is kind of lo-fi or weird production, but it's just ideas and fun stuff.
And a link to Kevin Sampson's SoundCloud page will be in the description below. Now, Kevin, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Now, would you mind taking us out with American Girl?
Yeah, I think I can do that for you.
I'm Bryan Mirando. This has been the Free For All podcast. Remember, do good to others like you do to yourself. Here's Kevin Sampson with American Girl. Enjoy.
Well, she was an American girl, raised on promises. She couldn't help thinking that there was a little more to life somewhere else. After all, it was a great big world with lots of places to run to. And if she had to die trying, she had one little promise she was gonna keep. Oh yeah, alright, take it easy baby, make it last all night. She was an American girl. Well, it was kinda cold that night when she stood alone on the balcony. Yes, she could hear the cars roll by down on 441, like the waves crashing on the beach. And for one desperate moment there, he crept back in her memory. God, it's so painful, something that's so close is still so far out of reach. Oh yeah, alright, take it easy baby, make it last all night. She was an American girl. Oh yeah, alright, take it easy baby, make it last all night. She was. Oh yeah, alright, take it easy baby, make it last all night. She was an American girl. American girl.
That's cool. That works.